Propriedade Intelectual.
Okay, yes. In your first speech, you're talking about the intellectual property.
Yes.
I would like to ask to explain your argument
Yeah.
about the intellectual property.
Oh, you want me to explain it in short?
Yes.
Okay, it's a very difficult. Well, the short form of it is that the only reason we really need property in the world is because we have to allocate goods that are scarce. So, for example, there's a competition over this iPad that you happen to be holding. If you're holding it, then I can't hold it. And if I'm holding it, you can't hold it. And if we have an argument, we just have to kill each other, right? Or we can establish a system called exchange, which presumes property rights. So that's the reason there were property rights. I mean, there wouldn't be a need for property rights in a world where everything is abundant, like the German word Schlaraffenland. It's like a make-believe land where you can get everything you want. So, for example, when it rains, when hail comes, they're like sugar cubes coming down. And all food is available for you. For example, the pigs that run around are already cooked and they have forks stuck in them, so you just reach in and eat the pig. It's from an old Grimm's fairy tale, right? But it's a world where you can get everything you want. But that is not our world. We live in a world of scarcity. So because we live in a world of scarcity, you have to have the assignment of property rights, which permits exchange, and out of which comes prices and allocations and all the things we call economics. But the world of ideas is completely different, because the world of ideas has infinite goods. And by that I mean that they can be multiplied without end. You can have a thought and express it, and I can take that thought with me and take it with me and express it over there, and it doesn't take it away from you. And it's not stealing. It's just copying. So in a perfect world, everything would be copyable, right? So, for example, I went to a buffet at lunch today, and I picked up a piece of ham. So what if I picked up that piece of ham, put it on my plate, and poof, another piece of ham came immediately to replace it, right? Well, that's kind of the way ideas are. They can be reproduced again and again and again. So therefore, you don't need to assign any property rights to them. And so, in fact, it's perfectly preposterous to attempt to do so. In the real world, ideas are always a combination of other ideas, meaning that we must constantly be in a position of taking good ideas and making them our own. It's not really taking, because you're not taking them away from anything. All you're doing is reproducing that idea. So in that world, you don't need property rights and ideas. As a matter of fact, intellectual property did not even exist before the nation state became a very mature and large and coercive and aggressive institution and institutionalized them. First in England as a means of censorship, and then in the United States, and then in France, and then all over the continent. But things like patents and copyrights weren't even global until the very last part of the 19th century. So they rely on state legislation. Property rights in the real world can be created without the state. All we do is homestead, right? No state, but we still have property rights. It's a normal, natural thing. Intellectual property, what is called intellectual property, is entirely a creation of legislation. It's an artificial and coercive means by which non-scarce goods are made scarce solely to benefit certain producers. So it becomes a means of a sort of a mercantilism. It's a means of creating monopolies to benefit certain large institutions at the expense of everybody else. And never forget that the imposition of intellectual property always coerces third parties that don't know anything about it. For example, if you draw a picture right now on this piece of paper and say it's my copyrighted picture,